Hello, fellow students. This is the final presentation for course number 3, Human Factors in AI, that we are all taking, and I thank you for reviewing my presentation. First of all, I'd like to point out that there are a lot of different factors that go into innovation. As Theodore Levitt said, people don't want a drill, they want a quarter-inch hole. And that has been covered in our courses, in our course actually, in a different format. But I think it's a very important point to drive in for innovation purposes. There are many factors that go into determining what leads a company to be innovative or not, and that's the purpose of this presentation. Just as a form of background, basically 13% of companies or products rather that are introduced today will be still alive in 2034 or 10 years from now. The failure rate of products is very high. Why? Well, one of the points that I drive in the presentation is demand uncertainty. And the demand uncertainty drives a lot of products to either failure or not being funded properly or whatever else is listed here that may be listed as a cause for failure for products. I'm not going to cover this chart, but it's important because we also covered it in the course to a certain extent and in a different manner. And also personal organizational needs are somewhat different and they must be aligned for true innovation to take place. Going to the task analysis, the problem to be addressed is the product aims to predict a company's level of innovation based on resilience and demand uncertainty. And the basic task, of course, we got to input some data, we got to process it, and the output has to be a score representing the company's predicted level of innovation and basically how innovative its culture really is. And of course, the insights from this stack analysis is that we need a very comprehensive yet very interpretable input data set, and this drives the complexity of the data. I'm sorry, the complexity of the data suggests that we need a very advanced ML techniques to actually achieve a good product. However, we can definitely start with doing some heuristic interpretations as well as continuing on to doing some linear analysis and then get into more complex forms of AI. We are talking about the user experience design, which is basically interaction with the product by users. So they will input relevant data through a user-friendly interface. The system processes the data and the results are displayed in an interactive dashboard. The dashboard will provide not only the innovation, but also insights and recommendations for either the future of the tool, but also the future of its use and how to use it. Of course, the key consideration for user design or the input-output. So basically simplify the data input methods. Transparency, which has been discussed in the course quite widely, and that is basically making sure that people understand how the data is being used and how the AI predictions are going to affect such transparency and so on, whether we're able to be transparent willingly or if there's any danger of not being transparent because our predictions are not consistent or unbiased. And communicating uncertainties is key to increasing the trust to the users because, again, as it was covered, when uncertainty is communicated, it's much easier for the user to develop trust or at least not lose trust completely. Building feedback loops of many kinds is very critical, but also biases can be introduced that way, so we gotta watch out for that. Because the product is collecting very sensitive corporate data, protection measures, which are very robust, are needed. There are some applicable privacy laws, of course, that we must be very cognizant of, and not only the European Union and California's laws, but also other potential laws as we become aware of them must be introduced into the model. And we, of course, have an obligation to have data encryption and controls, ensure transparency, data collection and use, and we must provide users with the ability to access and even rectify and delete their data. Again, some potentials for biases are that data may not represent all types of companies equally, leading to biased predictions. Also, algorithmic biases are possible, and that, of course, is introduced by how we introduced our algorithms and how we train the data, the algorithms from the data. How do we address biases? Well, we got to be very cognizant of how they are introduced, and we got to make sure that the data is diverse and comprehensive for training, and that we keep retraining it as new data becomes available. We got to test regularly and audit the model for biases, as well as implement transparent algorithmic processes to better represent our outcomes. And of course, fairness, accountability, and transparency are the ethical AI goals. And we got to definitely continuously monitor and adapt our data and our models to reflect all ethical goals. By integrating these considerations, product can effectively predict a company's innovation level, and that is our goal. And I thank you for listening to me. And